It feels as though my family is a storm, unpredictable and ever changing. One moment, the calm is serene, and the next, chaos erupts. It's exhausting to try and navigate, knowing that each interaction could be a roller coaster of emotions, sometimes leaving me breathless, sometimes leaving me broken. I love my family, but it often feels like living in a house of mirrors, reflecting pieces of ourselves in the most distorted, unexpected ways. The unpredictability creates a constant tension, leaving me unsure whether the next moment will bring warmth or coldness. Family is supposed to be a safe haven, but for me, it's a battlefield. The unpredictability of emotions, words, and actions leaves me constantly on edge, never knowing what to expect. I find myself walking on eggshells trying to avoid the inevitable explosions. There's a sense of dread that looms over me every time I think about my family. I can never tell when the peace will be shattered, when the tranquility will turn into a storm. It's like a constant battle between hope and despair, where the line between love and fear blurs. The unpredictability of my family keeps me guessing, wondering whether the next day will bring love or rejection. The highs are exhilarating, but the lows can be crushing. It feels like riding a wave, never sure if I'll be swept under or left stranded. One moment, everything feels perfect, and the next, it's as if the floor has been ripped from beneath me. My family's unpredictable nature makes every day feel like an emotional roller coaster. I never know if I'll reach the summit or fall into the depths. It's like living in a world where everything can change in an instant. The calm, loving moments are fleeting, and the storms hit when least expected. The unpredictability of my family leaves me emotionally drained, constantly bracing for what's next. The emotional landscape of my family is unpredictable, like a wild river that can be serene one minute and dangerously turbulent the next. I'm left struggling to stay afloat, feeling as though I'm constantly trying to read the currents and prepare for the storm. There are moments when I feel like I'm walking on a tightrope, unsure if I'll fall or reach solid ground. The unpredictability of my family creates an ever-present tension where peace feels temporary and every conversation has the potential to veer off course. My family has a way of shifting from warmth to coldness with no warning. I often feel as though I'm living in a state of constant emotional whiplash, never sure which version of my loved ones will appear on any given day. It's hard to explain, but living in a family that's unpredictable feels like being on a ship in a storm. Sometimes it's calm sailing, And other times, the waves crash, tossing everyone around with no clear direction. I've learned to hold on tight, but it's exhausting. The mood swings of my family leave me feeling disoriented, as though I'm caught in a whirlwind. One moment we're close, and the next I'm left alone, trying to figure out where everything went wrong. It's emotionally draining and destabilizing. The constant uncertainty in my family makes me question everything. One minute, they're loving and supportive, and the next, I'm caught in the crossfire of harsh words and hurtful actions. It's like being in a game with no rules, where trust is fragile and fleeting. Living with the unpredictability of my family feels like trying to dance in a storm. The rhythm changes without warning, and I'm left trying to keep my footing, trying to stay grounded, but always at risk of being swept away by the next emotional wave. I never know what to expect from my family. One moment we can be laughing together, and the next we're arguing or ignoring each other. It's like living in a constant state of flux, where the only thing predictable is the unpredictability itself. My family is like a fire, unpredictable in its warmth and its fury. One moment they can provide comfort and love, and the next they can burn me with their words and actions. The emotional whiplash is exhausting, and I often wonder if I'll ever find a way to steady myself. The unpredictability in my family makes me feel like I'm always walking through fog, never sure where the path leads. One moment, I feel surrounded by love, and the next, I feel utterly alone. It's like trying to navigate without a map, always on edge. Some days, I feel like I'm drowning in the chaos of my family's unpredictable nature. The emotional turbulence comes and goes without warning, leaving me gasping for air, trying to catch my breath and figure out what just happened. My family is like a lightning storm, bright and intense, but never lasting. The sudden bursts of emotion leave me reeling, trying to pick up the pieces after the storm passes, only to realize it could strike again at any moment. The unpredictability of my family creates an atmosphere of tension that I can't escape. It's a constant cycle of building up hope only to have it torn down in the blink of an eye. I try to prepare myself, but nothing ever feels like enough. It's like being caught in a whirlwind of emotions, with my family's moods changing in an instant. The emotional instability leaves me constantly on alert, never knowing if I'm walking into a calm moment or the eye of a storm. There's a deep sense of confusion that comes with living in a family like mine, where love and anger, joy and frustration can switch places without warning. It leaves me constantly questioning my place in this emotional chaos, trying to make sense of it all. The unpredictability in my family makes me feel like I'm on a never ending emotional roller coaster. Every time I think I've caught my breath, something else happens, throwing me into another loop of uncertainty, leaving me wondering when it will end. One minute, my family can be full of laughter and love, and the next, I'm left alone, questioning everything. The unpredictability creates an emotional tension that feels like a storm cloud always hanging above me, ready to burst at any moment. It's as if my family has a way of switching personalities on a dime. One day, they're my greatest supporters, and the next, they're tearing me down. The unpredictability leaves me feeling like I'm constantly trying to adjust to new versions of the people I thought I knew. Living in a family that's this unpredictable means I never know where I stand. One moment I feel like I'm being cherished, and the next I'm questioning if I even belong. It's emotionally exhausting trying to find stability in a world of constant change. I never know when the calm will turn to chaos in my family. The unpredictability of our relationships makes me anxious, constantly bracing for the next emotional upheaval. I've learned to keep my guard up, but it's a tiring way to live. It's like being in a game with no rules, no clear expectations. The unpredictability of my family leaves me feeling lost and uncertain, unsure if the next moment will bring comfort or confusion. It's a constant struggle to find balance. My family's moods are like the weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy. The unpredictability makes it impossible to plan for the future, as every day feels like a gamble, wondering if the storm will hit or if peace will reign for a while longer. I feel like I'm caught in a never-ending loop of emotional confusion. One moment, everything feels right, and the next, it's like the ground has shifted beneath me and I'm left struggling to find my footing again in the chaos. The unpredictability of my family makes it impossible to relax. Every conversation feels like a potential minefield where something small can set off a chain reaction, leading to an emotional explosion. It's a constant weight on my shoulders. With my family, it feels like I'm always bracing for impact. One minute, we're getting along fine, and the next, we're caught in a whirlwind of emotions. I never know when it will hit, but I know it's always lurking just beneath the surface. It's like living in a world where everything is constantly shifting. My family's unpredictability makes it impossible to keep up, and no matter how hard I try, I always feel a step behind, trying to adjust to the ever-changing landscape of emotions. Living with unpredictability feels like being in a constant state of tension. Every day, I'm unsure if it will be a day of peace or a day of chaos. It's hard to make plans, hard to invest in the moment, when the next one could be so different. My family's unpredictability leaves me feeling like I'm trying to catch the wind, always changing, always elusive. The emotional shifts come without warning, and it's hard to stay grounded when everything around me feels so unstable. The emotional roller coaster of living in a family like mine is exhausting. One minute, I'm in the middle of a joyful moment, and the next, I'm caught in a storm of anger and frustration. It's like trying to walk through a thunderstorm with no umbrella. Every time I think I've figured out how to handle my family unpredictability, something changes and I'm thrown off balance again. It's like trying to hold water in my hands. No matter how tightly I grip, it always slips away. Living in a family that's this unpredictable means I'm constantly adjusting to new realities. One day, everything is fine, and the next, I'm left piecing together the broken fragments of a conversation or a relationship. The unpredictability in my family creates a deep sense of unease. I never know if the next moment will bring a burst of love or a wave of conflict. It's emotionally taxing, and sometimes I feel like I'm caught between two worlds, one of peace and one of chaos.